All right, so today we're going to be doing part 2 of how to do a Jheri curl. Now, hopefully you guys really watched my other videos. I showed you how to do a 9-section perm, but I really showed you 8 or 9 sections. You would determine that by the size of the head, and we're talking about a basic perm right now. This is a basic soft curl perm, so I'm not talking any specialized rolling, meaning spiral, candlestick, piggyback. We're not doing that. This is basic. How would you determine if you're going to do 8 or 9 sections? It's according to the size of the head. I already showed you that in my 9-section perm video. I also showed you the first portion, which was the breakdown, which is a thio relaxer. Because this service would be done for someone with overly curly hair and they want to have more control of their curls, they want a more relaxed curl pattern. So that's why we had to straighten the hair first. Now we're doing the second portion where you're going to apply waving lotion. So you're sectioning it in 8 or 9 sections, and then you're going to apply a waving lotion to each section and roll. So if you notice, before I start rolling, I'm going to have gloves on. I already applied protective cream after I did my sections, and we'll get started with that. So I'm going to be using orange and purple rods just to break up the curl pattern. I'm using a rat tail comb to comb through the waving lotion and also to roll. This is Carefree Curls Curl Booster, and this chemical is also ammonium thioglycolate. So you're doing a double thio process to make overly curly hair have a more relaxed curl pattern. So this would not be called a perming solution because it is thicker. It is a waving lotion. Some people may roll it first and then apply it to the rods. I do not, because it is thicker. So there's no guarantee that each rod would be saturated, meaning the hair that's rolled on the rod, that it would be thoroughly saturated all the way through. So we just want to make sure that it gets all the way through. And I did not have to re-shampoo the hair because technically, even though I broke this down into 2 videos, remember, we rinsed out the thio relaxer. And now we're bringing her back because we shampooed first before we did the thio breakdown. So remember in the videos, I showed you that. Now I'm taking my end papers and I'm doing a process that's called fanning. And you'll see I had a good time with this. So you just twist your comb and the end papers fan open. It just makes it easier to grab if you don't have an end paper dispenser, which those are so much easier. And that's what they used to have at State Board. So I believe they still have those where you just press down and an end paper pops out. So you could use that too. It's much better. So I'm starting in the front center section. And the way that I've always taught it and the way that I was taught was the first 2 to 3 rods go forward. And what I'm showing you there is when I subsection the hair, your subsection should be the width of your rod. So I was showing you the circle part of the perm rod, and you would place it up to the width of your subsection to know if you did it the right width. Now, if the hair goes past the circle of your perm rod, that means your subsection is too large. If it goes inside of the circle of the perm rod, it may be too small. So right now I'm using the end paper and it goes past the ends. That was a single wrap and I'm rolling it towards the face. In this case, I only did 2 going forward and then the rest went back. And when you place your bands across the rod, you want it to go straight across. You don't ever want to see the hair pulled tightly under the rod because hair swells when you apply perming lotion or perming solution on the hair. It expands. And so if that band I'm showing you the width of the subsection there. If that band is too tight on the hair will expand and break off. So when you go to unroll the perm rods, you will see where the band just did a clean cut and cut the hair off. So I'm just going straight across the top, and then I'm going to show you. So you can see where the hair is not pulled too tight, but it's snug enough to where it's not going to move and wiggle out of her hair. Because that's another hassle too. When you're rolling the hair and then it's, you know, the rods are falling out in the sink. So now I'm rolling back. I did the first two forward. Now I'm rolling back. And you know, everybody rolls their perms differently. So just know that. This is how I've taught it for years. You're talking 16 years now. This is how I was taught. But that doesn't mean it's the only way. And I'm going to keep saying that just so you know. My way is not the only way. But if you have an open mind and a heart, I always do my best to show you what's the closest thing to stapboard. Is a soft curl perm a stapboard procedure? No, it is not, but at one time it was. And do clients still get this service? Yes, they do. So it is good to know, and it is a good skill, an extra skill to have. Perms can bring you in some good money. Some people hate the smell. Don't judge. I actually love the smell. And I enjoyed doing this service because it's been a while since I did it. So I'm saturating the middle section in the center. Combing it through, making sure it goes all the way to the ends. And once that hair is straight, honestly, it's pretty easy to saturate the hair all the way through. And now I'm going to start rolling. So that's another thing I wanted to tell you guys. You could use one end paper. I think for this one, I used pretty much double end papers, meaning you like sandwich the ends in. You always want the end papers to go over the ends, above the ends, and then you will roll down. You can do single wrap, which is with one end paper. If the hair is not, you know, layered a lot and it's pretty much one length, you don't need two end papers. But if it's layered or the ends kind of split, it's better to sandwich it in. And then there's the bookend wrap. The bookend wrap, honestly, I use mostly when I'm doing a spiral perm. And that's because the subsections are so small, you can get that hair in there in the bookend wrap. And a bookend wrap is where you take one end paper and you fold it in half like it's a book. So you would fold it, but you have to make sure, what's tricky about it, you have to make sure the ends are not stuck together like a little skinny tail. Because what can happen if you grab your ends and, you know, turn it into a skinny tail at the ends, when you take that perm out, the curls are full curls at the base and then strings at the end. So you'll find yourself having to cut all that hair off, and you don't want to do that. So now I'm in the corner here, and I wanted to show you in that corner there, you're going to have that little tiny section, like a little triangle there. Now that you can do a bookend wrap because the ends are so skinny there. But I think I did double. And I used the short purple rods for the corner. So for a perm, really, you would have 4 short rods, whatever color you're choosing to use, and then you would go back to your regular size rods. So in this case, I had 2 purples in each corner there, on the left side and on the right side, and then I went back to the regular size rods. Now I'm rolling in the back. I did double end papers, the double wrap, because it was a lot smoother that way. I try not to teach the students to get comfortable that way, but I do show you each way, single, double, and bookend wrap. I really don't like using bookend wrap for state board because they don't like the ends to be bunched up. And when you're nervous, you just be surprised on things that you would do. So is it acceptable? Yes, it is. But I would advise you to do double wrap. And if you notice, I keep my comb in my hand. I do not put my comb down, pick it up again. You can lose points for that as well. It saves you time, and it is more professional to keep your comb in your hand while you're working. Usually, I think the only time I don't use my comb at all times is when I'm braiding. And there she goes. She's fully wrapped. And really, I would have put cotton around, but I did not because it's so thick. Now, what I'm telling you here is we did a test curl after 10 minutes. The S pattern's there. Now I'm going to take her to rinse her for at least 5 minutes, at least. But you can wait until the water runs clear. You don't see any bubbles in it, and you don't really smell the perming lotion or perming solution. But at least 5 minutes you would rinse with warm water, not cool. Warm water to get all of that out of the hair. And then we're going to bring her back and towel blot her and move into the neutralizing portion. So we've rinsed her for at least 5 minutes. I set my timer on my phone. Now I'm going to towel blot her. And if perchance your client's towel gets saturated around the neck, please change it. Now, before I do the neutralizer, I don't need to use protective cream. I'm just going to apply cotton. And this is, of course, simulated cotton because that was the one thing I forgot to order. So I used paper towels in the form of cotton. And this is how you would do. You would wrap it around the whole hairline of the perm rods because your neutralizer is more of a watery consistency. So it's not like your waving lotion. And if you remember in my 9 perm section, I told you about, or the questions about perms, about taking the rods out. That's your Carefree Curl neutralizing solution. I do not take my rods out before neutralizing because I don't want to take that chance that the hair will fall straight. So I'm starting in the front center and I apply it across the top, and then I lift the rod up and apply it underneath. Now some people take it and they go 1, 2, lift the rod up and go 3. That's perfectly fine also. It depends on how well the hair on the rod is saturated, and you should be able to see that. So you would know that. My tint bottle was faulty, just so you know, too. So I was dealing with all kind of stuff here because it was leaking out. And I was trying to keep it from leaking down on her face. And then I had to grab a towel to hold underneath. So yeah, you just thoroughly saturate the rods wherever you had the perming solution. And I use 2 ounces of neutralizer here. Usually when you're doing a permanent wave, if you're using permanent waving solution, you would use the equal amount of neutralizer as well. Now, neutralizer sits on the hair 5 to 10 minutes. And then you go and you rinse it for 5 minutes at least. 5 to 10 minutes to me, determining how you know, thick the hair was. If it's thicker, maybe a little more resistant, I would leave it on for 10 minutes. But on her, it was 5. I don't have to do a test curl with Neutralizer. I rinsed her for 5 minutes. I brought her back. I towel blotted. And now we're taking the rods out. So now the fun part. What I'm telling you is don't yank the rods out of her hair. Don't pull on the hair. You unroll them. Don't snap her in the head either with the bands. And I used It's a 10 leave-in conditioner. I love that leave-in conditioner so that her hair won't dry frizzy. And I'm just kind of working the curls because those partings will be there for a few days. So I'm just kind of saturating the hair well with the leave-in conditioner. Carefree Curl has their own moisturizing leave-in, I'm sure. And they also have curl activator. I did not use that. And here's the final product, guys. I hope you like it. God bless you, and thank you so much for watching my videos. I appreciate you and your support. Bye, guys.